Hi, this is Billy Tarasio from Modern Law. And today I'm going to talk about something that's kind of intense related to my divorce, and I think a lot of people's divorces. And the issue is that you're going to lose friends. Your divorce is going to impact your relationships with your current friends and your current family. And that has been something that is has really been hard for me, um, and I think hard for our friends and family that experience our divorce. So let's talk about this because it's an intense subject. Other people's divorces can affect you in a very profound way. That's not surprising. I'm a divorce lawyer because of the way that I experienced my parents' divorce when I was a young adult. So it's not shocking to me that my divorce would have an effect on the people around me. I was keenly aware that it would have an effect on my children. And so I was very, very aware of that, prepared for that, uh, did what I needed to do to combat against that and insulate them as much as possible. But I did not um, reach out and insulate mutual friends. And so um, I didn't really want to talk about my divorce to uh, our mutual friends, my ex-husband and I. Of course, we have mutual friends. We've been married for 15 years. So we've got a lot of mutual friends, and I did not want to reach out to them and tell them all about why I wanted to get divorced or all of the, awful things that were happening in my marriage. I didn't want to do that at all. So I didn't. Um, but what that meant was there was a lack of information for them from me. And they certainly weren't getting a lack of information from my ex-husband, who pretty immediately went to town talking to absolutely everyone he possibly could. The first group of people that he, um, you know, talked to and said all sorts of things. Because look, when people are going through a divorce, they don't behave their best, and they lash out in anger, and that's what happened. Okay, that's going to happen. So you can kind of expect that, even though you would hope that your ex not behave that way. You kind of got to expect it. So the first thing that happened was I heard through the grapevine somebody went into a tire shop and heard the tire shop owner talking about my divorce, and um, salacious gossip that wasn't true. And so that was unfortunate. So I moved out of the neighborhood, and it was fine. Those were not super deep quality relationships. And that I was happy to kind of let those relationships go. Uh, but I didn't kind of learn my lesson. And the lesson that maybe I should have learned was that if you don't give people information, they're going to take the information that they can get, and they're going to run with that. So the next, group of people that I experienced this was with our very close group of friends that we had when we lived in Oregon before we had moved to Arizona. And, we had a Bible study with them for years and years. We were very close to this group of friends, and we're Catholic. Catholics don't believe in divorce. That's a very helpful position for the person that doesn't want a divorce. It's not a very helpful position for the person who can't stay married anymore. But my friends were getting information from my ex-husband, and I gave them information as well, but I really tried to keep it to a minimum, as positive as possible. I explained the reasons why we were where we were. They understood, but they continued to get information from my ex, continued. And it got to a point where it was so stressful on absolutely everyone. I'm not faulting them, but we can't really have mutual friendships anymore. And so you have to decide, are you going to fight for those relationships or let them go? or let them be okay for now. And I don't want to battle with my ex-husband over who's going to maintain friendships with our mutual friends. So this is the second time that I've just kind of been like, oh, okay, you go, you do what you do. I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna get into a war um, over friends. And then the third group, and the most painful group, was family. Same thing. So you know that from my story that my family of origin experienced a really awful divorce. My parents' divorce was really awful. It shook us all to our core. And so we all were affected by that. Me, my brothers, my dad, my mom. And we've largely gotten over it, but it left very real wounds. And so when my ex-husband reached out again and again and again to barrage my family with contacts and information and just talking shit, straight up talking shit. But very carefully, very, in the name of let's pray for her. She's mentally ill. She's lost her mind. Those types of things. It has damaged relationships with my family. Now, what's the moral of the story here? I think there's a lot to think about when you're going through a divorce, and try to understand from everybody that touches you will be affected by your divorce. And if they're put into a place where they must choose by one party, it's going to have a real strain on your relationship. Because, when you have a relationship with a couple, it really kind of is a relationship with a couple. When you're friends with a couple, it's kind of a package deal, and it's really difficult when the package breaks up to determine, well, what do we do now? It's a hard position for people to be in, for neighbors, for family, and for friends to be in. And I don't know that I navigated this in the best possible way. I think that people probably wanted more information from me, but I have a tendency when I'm going through something personally challenging and stressful, I have a tendency to shut down and go inward. I want to make my world as small as I possibly can and control it as small as I possibly can. And that meant really focusing all of my energy and time on my children and on making a life that worked for them, to the exclusion of a lot of these other external relationships. And I have no doubt that already it's been almost 2 years now since I started going through my divorce. And I know that things will reach a new norm. I know that also because I watched my parents divorce, and while it rocked everybody's world, everyone did eventually adjust. So you will be okay. And the other thing is you're going to make new friendships, new valuable friendships with people who understand, people who are in your position, people who have gone through this kind of devastating transition that is divorce. It's awful. Divorce seriously sucks. But sometimes it's unavoidable. And just because it sucks doesn't mean that there's anything you can do except for go through it. And understand that you're making new friendships, and those new friendships can be so, so valuable. And it's okay. It's okay to shut down. It's okay to go internal. It's okay to have different friends. It's okay to allow your relationships to change. And please be as hurt. It's been so hurtful to me to lose friendships and to have these relationships rocked. But I think you have to give your friends and your family and your neighbors the benefit of the doubt. Everybody's doing the best they can with something that's hard. Divorce sucks, not just for you, not just for your kids, not just for your spouse, but for everybody around you, because it's a massive change and it's massive conflict. So I know this is long and blathering, but it's an intense topic. And I think, even though I'm an expert in divorce, I've been doing divorce for 15 years, I wasn't fully prepared. to know that that was going to come and how I might be able to deal with it. And so I want those of you who are going through this process or thinking about this process or starting this process to have this type of information. Let me know, what type of experiences have you had and what should I have done differently? Thank you. Make sure to subscribe. We'll talk to you soon.